Welcome back to Former Feds and Friends, where former federal government employees react to sci-fi, fantasy, rom-coms this time, all things nerdy, wonky, and awesome. I'm Madeline Veltero. I am a former stabilization advisor with the U.S. government. Today, I am joined by Tazreen Hussain, a women, peace, and security expert. Tazreen, why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself? Introduce yourself.
Sure. Thanks so much, Madeline, for having me. I'm excited to take part in this. I'm Tazreen Hussain, again, former advisor on women, peace, and security at the U.S. Agency for International Development. I actually come from civil society, and I spent a lot of my career in the nonprofit sector on gender equality, women's rights. And I was excited to bring all of that to the federal government to really implement the requirements of the Women, Peace, and Security Act of 2017 and ensure that, we were in partnership with women and girls on the ground in conflict-affected communities to help them resolve, to help them prevent, and to help them address conflict and violence in their communities.
Awesome. I was super excited to collaborate with you on this project, and you were actually the one who pitched the idea to do a special Women, Peace, and Security anniversary episode focusing on Miss Congeniality, one of the beloved sleepover flicks of my youth. Can you tell us a little bit more about what is Women, Peace, and Security for an audience that's never heard of it?
Where do I begin? Essentially, what we say is the Women, Peace, and Security agenda. It's the belief and understanding that women and men experience conflict and violence differently. And so those experiences need to be reflected in how we address and resolve conflict and violence. This year, in particular, we're talking about the anniversary. UN Security Council Resolution 1325 on women, peace, and security came into play in the year 2000. So we're celebrating 25 years of this historic Security Council resolution.
Yeah, I'm so excited by this idea, and it's so funny too that Miss Congeniality came out that year, and so it's also the 25-year anniversary of the movie. And as we'll see, it's an interesting film. Obviously, it centers a female protagonist who is in law enforcement who must go undercover in a mainly women-centric space in order to stop domestic terrorism. So lots of fodder and lots of laughs along the way to be exploring some of the themes in the Women, Peace, and Security agenda. So we know you're here to get into it, so let's get into it.
Problem, gentlemen? Hey, George Brain, if you weren't a girl, I'd beat your face off. Yeah? If you weren't a girl, I'd eat your face off. Call me a girl. You called me one. Now get out of here.
Very justice-driven young woman.
I know. Imagine being told it's bad to be a girl.
Jealous because you're smart and funny. And girls like that. I like you. Well, I don't like you. Now everybody thinks I need a girl to fight for me. You are a George Brain.
Gender stereotypes, right? It starts at such a young age.
Yeah, well, and I also think it's interesting. It shows how masculinity and femininity interplay. The boy is embarrassed. His masculinity has been threatened because he could not stand up to himself to another boy. Yeah. And somehow this gets mixed in with the fact that she's a girl and he takes it out on her. This happens a lot in gender dynamics in the work that we've done in other countries. Social policies that impact men start to impact women. If men are struggling to get jobs, if men are struggling to meet the roles that are expected of them as men, one of the first things they could do is take it out on the women in their lives.
No, it's true. It's why the levels of domestic violence can be such an early warning indicator of violence and conflict in communities, right? So the more that you see the domestic violence go up, it's an early warning indicator of so many different things, from increased violence to democratic vaccine. I mean, all the things.
All right, so what do we got? Miss United States pageant from San Antonio, Texas. You got preliminaries, press conferences, the telecast, which goes out live. It's a logistical nightmare.
Okay, gentlemen. Where do we start?
Well, you might want to call the network and the pageant people, set up a meeting, because you'll probably need their cooperation at some point.
Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
What you might want to do is call up the San Antonio office, grease some wheels so they don't feel like we're taking over their turf, when we need manpower tech support.
Yeah, while I'm at it, let's do that.
Good idea. We're going to need all kinds of surveillance on the interior perimeter.
No, we're going to need a lot more than that because there's about 1 million places that only these bikini stuffers can go, like backstage areas, hotel rooms, things like that. I think we need to get somebody in there.
Yeah. Now I'm thinking.
The questions she's asking, they're very community oriented, right? She's like, where do we need to go? Who is already there? And we need their buy-ins. She thinks at that community level.
And also she was talking about gaining access in areas where only women can gain access, that no one around that table can actually get that access that they need to do a proper investigation. And that's hugely important. And that, again, going back to women, peace, and security, I would say is probably one of the biggest push factors of making sure that women are a part of addressing violence and fighting extremism, for example. Like women understand they have access to different spaces and different people because of the different role that they play in their communities. And that can only benefit any type of security actor when you're trying to achieve some type of goal, whether it's getting more information, getting community buy-in so that they can operate and do their investigation and their work.
What could possibly motivate anybody to enter a beauty pageant is beyond me.
Scholarship money, chance to see the world, broaden your horizons, meet new people.
So join the Marines. It's like feminism never even happened, you know? I think any woman to do this is catering to some misogynistic Neanderthal mentality.
She's floating, lightly ascending from cloud to cloud towards heaven.
And when she gets there and he takes one look at that fake rack, he's gonna send her right back. Look, she's gonna cry again. Oh, if I only had a brain.
I am somewhat less than amused.
It's so funny because she's so clearly lost in her life, and she's so not open to asking questions about others and why they make the decisions they do. I think women face a common set of obstacles, and the tools that we have to deal with them are quite diverse. And we are individuals, we are different from each other. And so a tool that is best placed for one person to navigate misogyny or to navigate structural patriarchy is not necessarily the tool that is useful for another person. But we constantly judge each other's approach to navigating the patriarchal society, and which takes away from, it's like we should be just angry at the patriarchal society, not at the choices that each other are making. And I think she herself is dismissing something that is traditionally feminine, even though that traditionally feminine thing has deep roots in patriarchy, and in that way is demonstrating this like internalized prejudice against that which is traditionally feminine, which plays into the patriarchy.
Yeah, exactly. That line caught me as well. Like, she is the authority on feminism, but she's thinking about it from her own experience and her own biases, right? And that internalized misogyny also that plays into the judgment being put on anyone that wants to make a choice to be a part of a beauty pageant and be a beauty queen.
Thank you. Oh, thank you, Kathy. Oh, Kathy. Isn't she ravishing? How does she do it? And even though I'll be retiring this year, don't cry for me, Alabama.
That's so sad. He's retiring.
Oh, he's not retiring. I spoke to him this morning. The poor man blurted out the whole thing. They're firing him, going for someone newer and younger.
You also see Miss Texas like kind of gossiping and sharing, oh, he was actually fired, blah, 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 blah. And I'm pretty sure we'll probably see later on also as she gets to know these characters more and gets more information about what's actually going on behind the scenes. It all feels like it's very gossipy because there's that assumption that like women gossip.
Because when women talk, it's gossip.
Yeah, but when women talk, it's not always gossip too. It's actual information. And three, there's nothing wrong with gossiping. Like, gossip away. It's actually very feminist to gossip. Not feminist, but like it was, I don't know if you know the story or the history of it, but like women back in the day, gossip was used as a way to help women protect themselves from other men that would do harm to them. And when men got when they found this out, when they heard that other women were talking about them and were saying bad things about them, it was automatically dismissed and shamed as a bad thing. And that we're feeling the reverberations of that and how that's kind of like played into how we view women and how we view and value gossip as being a bad thing. when really it was like a tool used to like protect one another, right? And so they're playing into the trope of, oh, well, women gossip when they come together, but that's also like the information she's sharing is how they're protecting one another too, because she has to understand what's going on for the investigation for them to actually save these lives. So it was an interesting dynamic here of like how they use gossip in this movie when it's actually information intelligence, if you will, when it comes to matters of security, and in this case, national security, because it is a terrorist threat.
Hey, you guys, he has a gun. He has a gun. Taking him out, you guys.
No, wait till we have a visual.
Gun! Gun down! Gun! Everybody
Better up till then, don't you think?
Just the visual of her jumping off stage is one of my favorites.
In that outfit.
Yes.
Look, he had a gun.
Of course he had a gun. This is Texas. Everybody has a gun. My florist has a gun.
Look, we're gonna assume that any man with a weapon is a suspect.
Not anymore. We got the DNA results. The envelope from the citizen was licked by a woman.
DNA? There's never been any DNA before.
Well, he slipped up, or I should say she.
This is preposterous. You people are completely clueless. I mean, if I ran my pageant like this, we'd be holding it in someone's basement.
This is also where we finally see that they've confirmed that the suspect is a woman, which is interesting because in one of the first scenes in the office, when they're going through and talking about the letter, the sergeant automatically just says, this guy sent us another letter. So they just made the assumption that the criminal here was a man. In the very beginning, it was like, oh yeah, it's a man, like no question. It was not questioned or anything like that. Like, are you sure? How do you know? It was just assumed. And now they're finding out, oh wait, it's actually a woman. And then you see Morningside getting agitated for,
right,
why?
And it's also like it's maybe a bit of a problem for them that it's a woman, because they're like, wait, we don't really know how to catch women as much as we know how to catch men, because we just don't have, because again, we don't have as many women in the force. Not to say that men can't understand women, but at a structural level, it can't hurt. It can definitely help to have that level of representation.
Well, it's the representation, right? It's like having more women in these positions so that you can have a more holistic understanding. But I think it's also beyond just the representation, it's understanding how men and women work differently, right? And so how they are investigating, are there gender biases in how they are doing the investigations? How does bias show up when it comes to investigations? That, in order to combat that, like that's what I would say would require like a gender analysis, right? And a gender analysis is essentially asking that question, how are men and women impacted differently? And how are we taking that into account as we're doing XYZ thing? So in this case, this investigation, or the strategy. That's the level of analysis I think is needed everywhere. And that's why, like, particularly for women, peace, and security, when we talk about like either women in security forces or the conflict or violence that communities are being impacted by in and of itself, if you apply that level of analysis, you'll get such a better and more firmer understanding of what's going on and how the different roles that people take on and those societal expectations come into play to then enable you to figure out how to respond to it and how to prevent it moving down the line.
That's so interesting. Yeah, I feel like this fake investigation would highly have benefited from a gender analysis, but then there wouldn't be a movie. So if they were doing their job efficiently.
I would have to say world peace. Definitely world peace.
That's easy.
World peace. World peace.
What is the one most important thing our society needs?
That would be harsher punishment for parole violators, Stan. And world peace.
This is a punchline throughout the film, right? Oh, women just want world peace. Like, you see it as a punchline, right? That women want world peace, that other people want to see women want world peace because that is what they are expected. But I think when I think about this film and when it came out and the duality of it, right? It premiered in 2000, and that's also when UN Security Council Resolution 1325 on women, peace, and security was passed. And it was such a significant moment for this work and for this agenda, because women actually do want peace, and we've seen the violence that they've experienced and the stuff that they have had to overcome in order to advocate for that in their communities and in their countries, from Northern Ireland to Liberia to so many other contexts. This was the result of women actually gathering and organizing and forming coalitions from the grassroots level to get an international policy and international standards and an international framework to actually help us achieve peace in so many various different contexts. It was so significant.
As an expert in the women, peace, and security space, I'm interested in your reflections on the hypothesis: if women ran the world, there would be no war.
What the agenda is pushing for is actually equality. They want equal representation of men and women.
They don't want women to run the world.
It's not one versus the other. We're not pitting genders against each other. What it is saying, okay, men are at the decision-making table. Women should be a part of that decision-making table too, an equal part. Not because women are more peaceful, but because when you have more voices and more diverse experiences sitting at the table, then you can think about the issues that are underlying conflict and violence in a much more holistic way. And as a result, peace will actually last longer. And that's been proven true when women are a part of these types of decision-making, that the likelihood of it lasting 15 years or longer increases by 32 or 36%. So just having people with diverse experiences, and I would say this is true for other marginalized communities, not just women, but like LGBTQ communities, racial ethnic minorities, religious minorities, whoever is affected by the conflict. If we're trying to think about solutions, then all these diverse voices and all these diverse experiences need to be a part of the table in equal amounts. It's not one versus the other.
She's completely trashed. We should get her back before this Morningside party.
Oh, Kathy's just got a boot up her ass about something. Oh, I don't think she ever got over those rumors.
Come again?
You know, her pageant year, she was a runner-up, but then the winner just mysteriously gets food poisoning.
Bizarro.
Stan told me that she got a letter like a few weeks back from the network, and they're firing her too. She threw a chair out the window.
Sir, I need to talk to you for a minute. Just 1 second at a time.
Hart.
Just hear me out for a second. I really feel that the situation bears further scrutiny in our continued presence here at the pageant.
What are you, deaf? He just got paint in your ears. Look, we caught the guy.
What if we were wrong? What if the citizen didn't send the letter? What if it was a copycat? No, sir, the letter didn't follow the normal pattern. The linguistic scheme was totally uncharacteristic, and the DNA said it was a woman. I think we have reason to monitor Kathy Morningside.
Look, you are the reason I had to drag myself down here in the first place, and I don't want to hear another damn word.
But, sir, she's getting fired this year, which she neglected to tell us. When she was in the pageant, the only reason she won the crown was because the winner mysteriously got food poisoning. How bizarro is that?
Bizarro?
Oh, and another thing. She threatens me, and according to Mary Jo, she has a history of violent behavior.
Who the hell is Mary Jo? Look, where are you getting your information from? A pajama party?
No.
Would you just shut up?
Why, you're shutting up enough for the both of us.
Matthews,
Yes, sir.
is there any reason to suspect Morningside?
No, sir. What? Come on, don't look at me like I just betrayed you.
No, betrayal implies an action. You just stood there.
You got nothing to go on.
No, I know everyone thinks I'm a screw-up, all right? But for the first time in my life, I feel like I'm in the right place at the right time, and I have to protect those girls. It is my job.
What are you doing? Don't do it.
And you hear the sergeant, right? He comes in, he's like, where are you getting this information? A pajama party? Yes, actually. And it's valid information.
With the prejudice that is put on the word gossip that comes from a patriarchal background, it then is often dismissed. It's like, no, this is just literally intelligence. They just happen to be collecting it, while they're throwing up in a bathroom.
The standards that they've used to make a determination of the case obviously does not reflect the lived experiences of what's happening here with the pageant and the women in the pageant. And and so this is a lot of the times where we kind of come to a head and have these spats and disagreements, which they showed beautifully, I think, here, right? Where the standards that we have don't often reflect the lived experiences and realities of everyone else. And in this case, women, that is a big blind spot, and that is a big bias. And that does go into how investigations are conducted and why those systems and processes need to change.
Yeah, one of the things I love about that scene is how expertly I feel like the writers have her combine clearly very expert knowledge about the case with her newfound knowledge and respect for this new intelligence source, where she's talking about how she's like, I think it's a copycat because you can see X, Y, and Z. Like, this is technical, investigative stuff that she has, this is a skill set she's been cultivating throughout her career. And then she's combining it with this new, like, she is now open to this new source of information through the journey that she's gone through. And she's combining it to be able to make what is ultimately the accurate assessment of the situation. I actually was really moved when I was watching this through this feminist lens, and this policy lens, when she has not been at this pageant that long. She has not been embracing women's knowledge and women's value that long, coming from the place that they establish her of her internalized self misogyny, and that she like completely puts it all on the line and is able to say, like, based on this gut instinct that she's like, I think this stuff has value, the information from the women, my instincts as a woman all have value, and I'm like putting the career I love on the line.
Exactly. Same like viewing it through that lens and seeing how she's advocating for what she knows is right, what she's seen, and herself is really important here, because to get to that point takes a really long time. But what you also see is Benjamin Pratt's character is like, he clearly, you can see in his eyes, he actually believes her, but he's not doing anything to stand up for her. And he is actually the one running the investigation, right? And so this is also another instance where we actually need like men's allyship in these times. The experience here is all too real, where he's not putting himself out there and actually saying out loud that he believes her because he's afraid of the repercussions that he will face.
First runner-up, who will have to take the winner's place if for any reason she cannot fulfill her duties, is New Jersey, which means our new Miss United States is Rhode Island Cheryl. You're proud. To the sky.
Jersey's going berserk. Get her off the stage.
Crying is the best.
To us, you will always be Gracie Lou Freebush, the nicest, sweetest, coolest girl at the pageant, and this year's Miss Congeniality.
Very honored and moved and truly touched. And I really do want world peace.
I forgot that she said this at the end. Okay, I feel better. I think so much of the concepts and the reasons as to why we've been advocating for women, peace, and security in so many different ways, and why it is such a critical part of our national security, are shown in the film. You see a lot of the biases that women encounter when it comes to being a part of, security sector institutions, and why we need them a part of that. So because they have access to different communities, they have access to information that men might not traditionally have in any context. They bring a different perspective. and they're able to utilize that information for the greater good, right? In the movie, it's got a happy ending, right? We see that they caught the person. She got the recognition that she deserved. She's come into her own. And also, like, you see like this bigger sense, you get this feeling of a sense of community at the end. Like the tension is gone because they caught the bad person who was the Kathy Morningside, who was running the show and setting the tone for everything. I want to see that in real life, right? And that's what I mean when I say, like, we haven't really fully realized the commitments of, you know, UN Security Council Resolution 1325 or the broader like WPS agenda, Women, Peace and Security agenda. You know, if we fully realize those commitments, we would get that happy ending, I feel like. And I will say in the US, we have a law. We have a law that actually equates women, peace and security and gender equality to the US's national security. And right now we're in a position where we're really not implementing it.
That comes to mind too as a possible call to action for American audiences is, you know, ask your lawmaker about progress on implementing the Women, Peace and Security Act of 2019. What's being done. The reorganization of especially our foreign policy apparatus has meant that the systems set up to implement that law aren't there anymore. And not to say that you can't find new ways to implement the law, but there has to be incentives to do so. And so if citizens create those incentives by asking it of their lawmakers and asking for regular updates and sharing updates on their social media, these types of things, then the incentive is there. That is all we have time for today. Thanks for watching, and a huge thanks to Tazreen for your invaluable expertise. Just a quick reminder, these are reactions that are off the cuff. We are drawing from our background, our experience, but the world is very complicated, so we can't guarantee that every detail we mention is fully accurate or necessarily that it applies in every situation. So stay critical, stay curious, keep asking questions. If you have questions about what we discussed, be sure to leave them in the comments below. We are working to develop a companion deep dive podcast, and your questions and comments can help shape that and our other content. If you want to see us react to other rom-coms, then be sure to give this video a big thumbs up so that we know that you liked it. And please share your suggestions for other reactions in the comments. We want to hear what you want to see next. We release episodes every Tuesday, so be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our videos. Everything we produce is available for free. We don't put anything behind a paywall, but if you are in a place to support the channel, we do welcome contributions through our Ko-Fi account, which is linked in the description box below. So we'll see you next week. Peace out.
You want to kiss me. You want to hug
Look, I think McDonald is more feminine. I'd rather kiss him.
You want to love me. You want to hug me.